Hello. Well, Bob Roger here. Hi. Good afternoon in the UK. About to reach evening, 5 o'clock. Um, I've had a client reschedule, so I thought a great opportunity to do my second Periscope live here for you. Um, Cornerstone of my practice is often around mindfulness, so introducing that to people where it's appropriate is something I'd like to discuss this afternoon. A lot of research about how it's great. I think it's personally great. However, there are others who think it's less so. Good afternoon, Liz. Thank you. What are your views? What are your experiences? Perhaps you'd like to share them. Do you think it's a load of bunkum and we have to all go off and hug a tree? Or have you found it useful? Maybe you don't know what it is. Hi. Oh, recognise that's lovely. Hi. I've forgotten your first name. Donna. Donna. Hello. Good to see you. So, yeah, why are none of you working? That's the first thing. No, I'm sure you are. You're being mindful. You're listening to me rabid on about what mindfulness is. What it is and what it isn't. It is about being present. It is about being non-judgmental about what we're sensing and what we're seeing, what we're hearing, tasting, smelling, touching right now in this moment. Liz, I tried Headspace. I like mindfulness, but found it hard to stick to a routine. Yeah, it's not easy. People might think, oh, kick back, empty the mind, it's easy. Mindfulness has to be learned, and it requires a lot of focus, a lot of attention. It's exactly what it is, attention. Think of it like returning to when you were a child. Maybe you were sitting on a curbstone on the sidewalk, just watching insects mooch around or leaves blowing in the wind. I'll answer that in a moment, Ricky. Does the past always seem better? When we were small, we might be less judgmental about what we were seeing. We wouldn't be thinking while we were sitting on that sidewalk or on the pavement, oh, what did I have for breakfast? What have I got for dinner? What bills have got to be paid? What happened yesterday? We can be really present. We can return to that. I don't think the past is always better, but we can convert the past into memories without associated negative emotions by processing those things, those experiences. I think if we're careful, and if we do that with care. Often this has to be done in association with somebody, I think, especially if there are deep-seated, deep-rooted problems that are traumatic in origin. And so it's not always wise to do that on your own. I went through that journey on my own because I just didn't trust anyone else at the time. That was one of my issues. But I have to say it has been a game changer. After 45 years of distress, the last 6 years have been like a rebirth, really. But it's not for everybody also. Some people it's just unacceptable to be able to get that close to the things that hurt us the most. And that's where someone like a counsellor like myself can help. Are we trying to clear the mind? No, we're not. It's impossible to clear the mind. There's 60 to 80,000 thought impressions that we all have each day. That's a lot of thoughts. They're going to keep going regardless of whether we sit quietly or not. But it is about sort of providing focus to what thoughts are arising, allowing them to come, allowing them to go. And if there's any emotions associated with those thoughts, particularly negative ones, deciding what we can do with them. Because if we can process them while we're being mindful, the chances are we can let them go. We've got enough evidence, we can find evidence. But if we keep pushing them away, which is the instinctive thing to do, chances are they're going to keep returning until you do something with it. The emotions associated are messages of the body to the mind. I feel under threat, can you do something about this? Even if it was 30 or 40, 50 years earlier. And until we listen to that and observe it non-judgmentally, finding that inner compassion for ourselves as well, and maybe forgiveness, whatever is required for whatever the event was. It's only then that we can come to peace. Negative thoughts, how should one deal with them? Thanks Ricky, I think negative thoughts is about asking, is there an alternative? So if I ding my car, I'm going to be upset. It's going to cost money, hopefully it hasn't injured anybody. But I can also think, well, the positive is that I didn't injure someone. That's a really good thing, isn't it? Oops, sorry, wobbly chair. I think perspective is key when we're talking about negativity and positivity. It's no good saying, oh, just be positive, everything's hunky-dory if it's not. But it's about, will this pass? And actually the reality is it always does, doesn't it? Everything passes, literally, if we allow it to. What was I worrying about this time last year? What was I worrying about this time a month ago? You know, it comes to pass. And sometimes all we can see is the problem, and I did this on the first sort of periscope. The problem becomes this, represented by the hand. That's all I can see. But if I move that negative event away, it's still there. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's part of my life now rather than my entire definition of my day, my life. So we can be more objective about that if we wish to. But as I mentioned earlier, this isn't easy. This isn't a walk in the park. This requires real discipline if you want to find peace and the reality. And what is reality? If you think about it, it is only this moment, this very moment, this second. What's gone before, when I started this periscope, is long gone. It may be a memory, probably not with the way I'm talking to that this afternoon, with this unplanned event. But it doesn't exist anymore, does it? And what I'm going to say next doesn't exist. So there's no action to be taken about the past. There's no action to be taken about the future. I create my future by what I do right now. I think the past, when it has associated emotions attached to it, is very much like watching a movie. You know, when you come out of a movie, if you've watched a car chase, you may think briefly you're the best driver in the world. But by the time you got home, and if you got home in one piece, you'll have forgotten that and you'll be back to the default state. It's very much like that when we think about emotions that make us feel sad. A death of somebody, a separation, bullying, whatever the traumatic event is. We can hold that emotion very temporarily if we choose to, but we have to observe it. We have to be able to process it and see it for what it is. We can find positives in most things. We can flip. So if we can flip the negative into a positive for most of the time. You know, the washing machine breaks down. Oh, God, another £300 I've got to spend. But on the other hand, once I've got it, I know it's good for a year at least. That's not much of a positive, but it's something. We can always look, is there a positive? If I'm judging somebody, there's another one that always leads to a negative, it seems. What if I don't judge? What if I don't compare? Will that help? And that's a really hard one, I can tell you, to stop judging people, to stop casting an opinion about somebody, what they look like, how they're driving, how they're talking. We have to slow down. We have to soften our language, our movements, our thoughts, our breath. Come into our body in awareness. We can do that. But it's never been more challenging in the history of mankind than it is right now, in my opinion. Because the threats are so great, at least cognitively we believe they are. We have access to so much information, of course, as you're watching now. But we can choose what information we choose to absorb. We want to watch 24/7 newsreel of wars, famine, and all the other negative stuff that goes on? Or can we just keep in touch with what's going on in the world and then get on with life in the reality of each moment? Thanks, Ricky. Okay, I'm going to keep this one short again because I do have another appointment coming in, but I just wanted to touch base and thank you all who've joined and for your kind comments, for your interaction. And I'll drop in again, perhaps even tomorrow. Have a good day or evening, wherever you are. Best wishes to you. Next mindfulness one, I'm going to show you some techniques to begin and how to create some new routines, actually that are old routines from when we were children, into our adult life. So take care, stay well, bye-bye.